Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. My name is DJ. Thrilled to be with you tonight for an off-season episode. I am joined by the Carter brothers, the Schuster brothers, whatever you like to call them by. TC, Tron Carter, how are you?
I'm great. I'm absolutely buzzing after that Jags-Eagles game. That was like that was why I watch football. It was
And
awesome.
speaking of ball knowers, we've got his younger brother, the merch czar, Neil Schuster, also coming to us from the big city marathon day, I hear up there.
Marathon day in the city. A great day. Fantastic. Good energy in the city. DJ, I'm sorry about your Packers,
That's
but fired up to be with you guys.
And
And,
his
and
Bears
happy
too.
daylight savings time. First time as a father. It sucks.
and also with you. All right, guys, later in the show, we're going to be celebrating moments of joy brought to you by a partner who knows a little bit something about joy. FootJoy, the official shoe, glove, and outerwear partner of No Laying Up. Wherever, whenever, and however golf is played, one thing is for certain. Most players will be wearing FootJoy shoes. This is true everywhere, including this year's Nest Invitational Tournament, where over half the field trusted their game to FootJoy. I love that we have a shoe count from the NIT. That's big time stuff. When it matters most, players choose FootJoy for their commitment to comfort, style, and innovation. Feel the joy with FootJoy. Boys, it is November 3rd as we sit here. There is no PGA Tour event this week. Many people may be saying, why am I even listening to this podcast? Uh,
Well, there's one this week.
well,
There's
there
not
was
one
no
this past
thank you.
week.
There was no PGA Tour event this past week. But you know what? We've made our bones on, we would barely even talk about competitive golf on this show anymore. I feel like it's all moving parts and qualifications, regulations, who's merging with who. So, I mean, I feel like honestly, this episode's going to be kind of perfect. We're going to talk a little bit of LPGA was in Japan. We are going to talk, the PGA Tour made some sweeping eligibility changes or proposed some sweeping eligibility changes to be voted on. We will talk about that. We're going to talk about the Carter brothers going to TPI, the Titleist Performance Institute, kind of like going to Willy Wonka's factory out there in Southern California. Can't wait to pick your guys' brains about that. And we got a couple seggies. I'm filling in for Solly. Solly is waiting with bated breath as he and his lovely bride, prepare to welcome twins into the world. So, I cooked up a couple other things. We've got a segment called the E9 that I'm going to lead. And then we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to talk about our week in golf. And then we've got KVV closing it out the ninth inning with something I'm just going to call one for the road. I just told him to dig in. KVV, go find some Gary Player stories. And we're gonna shut down the bottom of the ninth with that. So, TC, let me.
Any occasion for the Gary Player
Oh yes, it
stories?
was
Was that
Gary
his
Player's
birthday or
89th
something?
birthday. Yes, good
Okay.
question. Thank you for tracking my train of thought there.
I had to tie that in somehow.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for that. That could have been deeply random. TC, we're gonna start with competitive golf. Really, only one big tour in action. It was the LPGA, the Toto Wolf Japan Classic. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't catch a lot of it. Daylight savings time, as you said, Neil. I'm wrestling for my life in those wee hours of the morning, so I'm just not watching a lot of LPGA golf. But it sounds like I kind of missed a banger a little bit.
You did. You did. It was shortened to 54 holes due to a typhoon
Do we know the name of the
over
typhoon? I might have to look
over in
that up.
Japan. Please let me know if you get it because that's weather. Overall, the LPGA has been mostly lucky with weather this season. But Rio Takeda won in a 6-hole playoff over our friend Marina Alex. Marina's kind of starting to stack up some good finishes. She's back, I think, and played really, really well today. She shot 66 today. Rio just played better. I think they both birdied the first playoff hole, and then Rio birdied the sixth playoff hole to win it. So, hey, Ron, you finished one shot out of the playoff. Yulimi No finished T4, and after a couple of pretty rancid years by her standards, she was I think she was a Solheim Cup member a few years
Yeah.
ago, and she's been just in the wilderness. She's kind of back. She's had a really, really good last 5 to 6 months or so, and LPGA is in Hawaii this coming week. They've been in Asia for the last month or so. Hawaii this week, and then they go to the Game Bridge down in the greater Tampa Bay area,
That
down in
Pelican,
Bradenton,
the
Sarasota.
Pelican
Yeah, the
Bridge.
Pelican. And then they go to the CME down in Naples for their tour
We're
championship.
coming I was gonna say, it's getting crunch time on the LPGA. So, Typhoon Kong Ray was the name. So wish everybody
Kong Ray.
yeah, Kong, hyphen REY. So wish everybody, safe passage on that one.
Can I just say something? I'm a massive fan of Toto products.
Is that right?
Uh,
Toilets?
yes. Yeah, well, no, more so the bidets. When I worked at
Sure.
Google, they had the,
You
like,
a big bidet guy?
well, I wasn't until
Were
I
you
worked there
kind
and
of
I tested
intimidating
one
at
out. I was
first,
kinda
right?
scared of them for
Yeah,
a while,
exactly.
but they had, like, the automated version with, like, flow gauge, like, you could really, a lot of bells and whistles. Anyway, apparently in Japan, they have some, like, high level stuff over there,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, like
bathroom. Totally.
Ferraris of toilets and
Yeah,
stuff.
so just a shout out there.
Guys, personal story here. I went over for a few weeks, I think my junior year of high school, to Salamanca, Spain. Stayed with a host family, and I got there, and I was wondering for the first 4 or 5 days, what is this second toilet in the
For
bathroom?
what?
Why is there
Crouch
a
down to wash
second
your
toilet
hands? What
in
is
the
what am I supposed to
bathroom?
do here?
Sure enough, found out it
Yeah.
was a bidet.
Yeah.
You wash your tush with it.
It's,
Speaking of the tush push, unsuccessful today.
yeah, I think I would vote for more wide sweeping appeal of the bidets after, dipping my toe in on a trip to Korea a long time ago, but we can take that thus concludes our coverage of the Toto Japan Classic.
Take that over to the
Yeah,
refuge.
we can dive back in on that on another day. Guys, main story tonight, we're gonna talk about TC. I know you've been looking to fly the banner on this one. The PGA Tour has proposed eligibility changes that basically a
Yeah.
set of proposed qualification changes for its field that, if approved, could take effect in 2026. I would recommend everybody who is interested go look at mondayq.com. Ryan French published the entire email that kind of went out to a bunch of PGA Tour members. And high level, what this means or what we're talking about here is essentially shrinking the game. Isn't that right, TC?
Yeah, it's the Mule Replacement Program, bottom
To get
line.
down into some of the specifics, it means a bunch of things. We'll kind of go one at a time. Smaller fields at most tournaments, right? I mean, that's kind of the big headline here is most full field events are going to be trimmed to between 120 and 144 players. So a lot of the 156 player fields are just going to straight up get smaller. We can talk about some of the reasons behind this. Fully exempt status is going to change on the PGA Tour. As you know, in the past, that has always been the top 125 players on tour are fully exempt. That's now could become only the top 100. The number of Corn Ferry Tour cards is going to be reduced from 30 to 20. Monday qualifiers, they're taking a machete to those. Likely,
Everybody's getting a little
that's
haircut,
right.
all right? All the stakeholders except for
Everyone's making sacrifices, guys.
the best
Yeah,
players. But the best players, that's not like some, cohort that's predetermined, like, that's just
whoever plays
based
the
on
best.
outcomes. Yeah, exactly.
Uh, so Monday qualifiers likely going from 4 to 2 spots for most of the full field events. Events with 120 players or less, Monday qualifiers would likely go away completely. The restricted sponsor exemptions. So this is, basically sponsor exemptions that come from different categories. This is where you see a lot of kind of past champion type guys that get in. Not necessarily the Tony Romo, Steph Curry, unrestricted sponsor exemptions, but the restricted sponsor exemptions, which are kind of the guys who are in the field, you don't really know how they got in, type of things. Those are going to be reduced, or I'm sorry, those will be eliminated completely, and they'll just go to the next eligible player on the priority ranking. And
Would
then,
that be the college kids too? Like, at the memorial when they invite
Those are
yeah,
unrestricted.
those are the unrestricted ones,
The
okay.
restricted are like JB Holmes or Josh Teeter or, somebody who's like 148th on the FedEx Cup from the previous year.
Okay.
and then the final change that all of this kind of like shakes out to is basically FedEx Cup points are the distribution of FedEx Cup points is going to narrow a little bit. So right now, things are very lopsided with the signature events. You finish 19th at a signature event, and you get a lot more points than if you finish 19th at a non-signature event. That gap is going to be closed a little bit.
Yeah.
So meaning like the top guys can't run and hide quite as much just based on pure signature events. So there's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of reasons why it happened. But TC, I'm gonna start with you. What just initial thoughts on the changes, big picture thoughts, opening statements.
Yeah, I think it's sad that the tour has to use pace of play to kind
I
of
was gonna
get
say they
this
pinned this on
through.
daylight savings time, TC.
Yeah.
That was my big takeaway too.
The
There's
fact
like a
that they
whole
can't
page of like, yeah,
yeah.
it's guys, it's just not on the daylight. I'm sorry.
and they're doing that and also defanging some of the pace of play penalties as well, which feels really, really off. So the fact that they can't just be serious and enforce the rules and figure out a better way to, hey, like actually penalize some guys or make the dollar amounts bigger for the penalties, all of that. But overall, I think the 125 has always been an arbitrary number, right? 125 tour cards or 156 guys in a field. And I don't think that not knocking 12 guys off. Like we've said, there's too many tour cards out there. They can't properly service this many members. And that's kind of, I think it's right sizing the tour. And I know that sounds like a private equity term, which I'm sure some of that is involved here. But I'm just amazed at how much they were able to get done. Like I know the
Propose
approval will
anyways.
be
Still, yeah, it still needs to get approved.
November 18th, but I don't think they would have
Yeah.
proposed this if they didn't have the votes on the pack. Like the points stuff needed to happen, and it's more about that kind of that fatty middle of like a second place now will be the same as it was prior, but it's kind of that like 11th through 24th that was really getting too big for their britches, just feeding at the FedEx Cup points trough there. Everybody's kind of taking a haircut. I think they probably could have gone farther or further as well. They with there's still some entitlement reform out there. There's still the hundred and or the top 25 and top 50 money list guys that they get their one time
Career
get out
money
of jail
list.
free.
If you're on the top
Yeah, career
25 or
money
top
list.
50 of the career money, you get basically a free year.
And then there's the same thing with 300 cuts made. If you've had 300 cuts made, I guess the DP World Tour guys didn't get a haircut either. All 10
Yeah.
guys who weren't otherwise eligible will still get cards there. And then I feel like some of the Monday qualifier stuff, like there's Monday qualifiers. They're not going away. Some of them are going away, but
Number
there's,
of spots
I
are
don't
going away,
think there
right?
needs
Or
to be
yeah. Yeah.
4. Yeah, there's 2 spots instead of 4 in certain spots, or for some of the bigger events they're going away. So overall, I don't know. I think they're making it tougher to keep your tour card. Overall, I don't think the churn should be. I've been texting with a few people, DMing with a few people. I don't think the churn is going to change drastically. I think it went from 25 or 24% to 22% this last year, and I think the aim is to keep the churn at the same percentage year over year. So I'm all for it. I think let's move some of these mules off to the side and make some room for the new blood.
Neil, you have any initial thoughts from seeing this?
Well, reading through the letter, I thought it was actually a strong move to root it in. Like I was making a joke about daylight or pace of play, but the stat that stuck out to me: 28% of tournaments in 2024 had at least one round that didn't finish due to darkness. Like that's too high of a number. And they presented a graph and some stats about the changes from so they go in waves at the biggest tournaments off of the front and back, not off of 1 and 10, and it's 13, groups. And dropping that to 12 groups will, make a massive difference. So basically you're losing in like 4 groups, it sounds like, right? 4 groups of 3, like 12 guys from the morning
For a
wave.
lot of events, just to kind of give an overview. So Sony will go from 144 to 120, Farmers 156 to, or yeah, from 156 to 144, Phoenix 132 to 120, Players 144 to 120, which I think is interesting and probably should have been done a while ago anyways.
Yeah.
Valspar 144 to 132, and then you go after daylight savings, Canadian Open, Rocket Mortgage, John Deere, all go from 156 to 144. So those fields get a little bit bigger once you have a little more daylight.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me. So I thought that was smart, and I mean, top 100 just feels more like simple. Like if
Yeah.
my wife asked me, like, "How do you get your tour card?" Well, you got to be in the top 100 in the
Yeah.
world. Like that feels like a very
Not top 100 in the world, but
well.
top 100
Well, that's what I
on
tell
tour.
well, in the
Yeah.
FedEx Cup,
Yeah.
like, I'd probably just say,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you're one of the top 100 golfers in the world." It would be nice if we could unite those lists, but
Sure.
that's a different
One
topic.
thing at a time. TC, who's gonna be pissed off about this? Who are the losers in this situation?
It's a I mean, other than Ryan French from Monday Q Info.
Which let me I guess my opening thought
That's his
would be like, yeah,
livelihood. Yeah.
I think what a lot of this should be prefaced with is people like the game for very different reasons, right? And I think one thing I mean, Ryan French is like the perfect avatar for a lot of this because he literally covers Monday qualifiers and he covers underdog stories. And that's, he's very open about that's why he loves the game is because it's incredibly democratic. There's always guys going in and out. There's always, if you can play well in this Monday qualifier, you can tee it up next to John Rahm or Scotty Scheffler and, kind of be a couple good rounds away from breaking through and maybe changing your life. And I think that's fair that that's why a lot of people do like golf, right? They do like those underdog stories. And where I think some of this conversation gets clunky is that this is kind of the latest instance of just like massive growing pains in the sport of
Yeah.
golf is what it feels like to me, right? Where when you look back at what pro golf used to be, it was these weekly circuses that would go to Memphis and Greensboro and the Quad Cities and all these different places, and they would put up their tent and they would say, "I don't know, how many players can we fit in here, in daylight? Well, let's give people as many as they can, as many as we can that they can come out and watch with their kids and make sure we got a full tee sheet and you can watch golf from sun up to sundown. And sure, yeah, the final rounds on CBS. Great. Awesome. Maybe we'll get some money from TV as well. And now that the pendulum has just swung so violently into like, no, actually, this is a big, big, big dollar entertainment product with massive sponsors and now all of a sudden irrational actors who can pull away the game's top stars. It just has to change, right? And this is where I think a lot of this comes from. So Neil, I'm with you in that, it's almost like getting Al Capone on tax evasion, right? Where it's like, ah, sorry,
Yeah.
daylight. I
Yeah.
wish we could do that. I wish there was more daylight, mules. Nothing I could do for you,
Little
man.
Rico case here for
Can't
you.
fight City Hall.
Yeah, but I get why they have to do it like that because other than that, it is pretty much just I mean, saying the quiet part out loud would be like, yeah, there's too many guys that people just can't recognize and don't care about, and maybe if we go
Yeah.
from
Well, and
100.
the stat about, the guys, that Monday
Well,
qualify in, like, 75 or 80% of them miss the cut. Like, they had a stat in there, and it's a little bit like, "Hey, anybody can run for president. Third party candidate."
I
Yeah, I
know,
don't know, man. Like,
I know.
at this
that's
point, it might
something.
not work
It's
that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the elite tour on planet Earth, right?
Because
So,
I like the
I
idea
think
of
we
the
can tighten
meritocracy
things up.
and the
Yeah,
Monday
and that's
cues.
not
I think
going
the
away,
stories are
right? They're
great.
just
So
bringing they're
yeah.
bringing everything in proportion. I think the biggest thing for me is the fact that the last couple of years, the Corn Ferry Tour guys increasingly, like this has been an issue for a while, but over the last two years, especially since the signature events came around, and guys like they didn't really know what the knock on effects were going to be from the points changes and smaller fields in those, and really all the Corn Ferry Tour guys were just getting pushed farther and farther down the priority list because guys were making more starts, and so you would get to the Florida swing, and guys have only made one, maybe two starts. Like maybe they started the Desert and Torrey, maybe, and then and so it's early to mid March. You're 2.5 months into the season, and guys have got one or two starts under their belt, and that's tough if you're coming out of the 25th or 30th spot. You won on the Corn Ferry Tour last year, but you're not, you didn't have a great season. But like, I think a tour card should mean a tour card.
Yeah.
Like you
Yes,
should
I
be
agree.
able to get off to, a good start, know kind of what your schedule is going to look like, have a representative amount of events and, go get it. Where I think part of it too is like over the last few years, the 126th or the 140th guy from the previous season's FedEx Cup has gotten like 25
Right.
starts, right? Like there's some bottom of the barrel shit out there as far as the Barbasol or the butter, like, and then you got the fall series stuff, which is another conversation. That stuff's probably going to wither away. But I think now it's like, all right, cool. Like if you have your card, you have your card. If you don't have your card, go play the Corn Ferry Tour. Like this strengthens the Corn Ferry Tour. I think they need to keep strengthening the quality of the courses out there so that they're identifying the right
Yeah.
talent.
Well, just to
But
linger on that, I
yeah,
mean, basically, what can happen is when you don't have the right golf courses. Like I was talking to somebody about this with AAA pitching, right? Where you
Yeah.
have guys just feasting on AAA pitching, and then they get promoted to the, major leagues, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, I have never seen a slider that slides like that. That I don't what how am I supposed to do
Yeah.
this? Same thing can happen in golf, right? Where you're not playing hard enough golf courses, and you go out and you rake because you hit it 405 yards, kind of all over the place, and you chip it up there and can putt a little bit, and then all of a sudden you go to, I mean, most PGA Tour courses, we like to dump on them as, birdie fest, but they are harder, man. The greens are firmer,
Yeah. There's
the
rough.
pins are closer to edges, the roughs are, tougher, they're longer, all of that stuff. So, yeah, that's an important
But
point.
yeah, but part of that too is like, all right, then you can treat the players you've got better, right? You can and I was laughing. Billy Horschel was on the pod with Ryan French, Monday Q Info pod, and Ryan's like, hey, what benefits are there for fans? And Billy said, the players don't have to warm up in the dark. There's more,
Which
there's
Neil's
more
always
time with
God,
each
Neil's always so
physio.
pissed about that. He's always
There's
Player dining is
player
fantastic.
dining. We get the grass fed steaks now. We get the wild line caught salmon, all of that stuff. But no, I mean, to be fair, that stuff does trickle down to the product. If there's 25 less guys in the field, that's 25 less courtesy cars you have to get. That's more money that you can throw ostensibly if they do it right. That's more money that you can throw into, the Corn Ferry Tour down the line. Like there's trickle down effects, hopefully. Now, I'm not sure. But like, I don't know. Bottom line is I'm shocked that they were able to get this passed. Now we need to start with major medical reform.
one
All
thing at a
right. We
time,
need to
TC. Governance is
Well,
slow.
can I
It takes
just
a while.
say one thing I like simple, and you go to a top 100. I think that's a good first step. I feel like the signature event should just be the top 100 and have a cut, like a 20-man cut. Like I feel like that would solve some of the problem,
I
TC,
agree with
that
you.
you were talking about with, like, you come off the Corn Ferry Tour and you can't get a start.
Yeah.
I feel like if 20 more guys are playing in the signature
Yeah.
events, but it looked like in the email
Well, the
they
Corn Ferry
they
Tour guys are.
evaluated that, but they
Yeah.
talked to the sponsors and everybody decided they didn't want to mess with that. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
And based on what I heard, like they could have gone a lot farther with this. They could have kept further. God, I'm messing that up tonight. That's my pet peeve when people mess that up. I'm messing it up, and they didn't. Like I feel like they did it. This is rarely am I ever on the side of the PGA Tour. And I think that like this is something that I, I wish they could have done 10 years ago because it's clarity. It's clarity for the fans. It's clarity for the players. Yes, there's winners and losers. Um, but at some point, yeah, and what I do wonder is now how does that gap between the Champions Tour and the PGA Tour, like that gap's going to get wider, right? There's going to be less hangers on at 44, 45, 46 years old. And so what are those guys going to do in the meantime?
Yeah.
Right? And then you've got a bunch of those 48 and 49-year-old guys beating up the Corn Ferry Tour because they get automatic status out there before they go. So they're going to
There's
have
always
to
gonna be bad actors.
that's the next wave of this stuff,
There's always gonna be bad actors looking for loopholes, but we gotta take care of the bulk first.
So it's a shout out to the PAC, the Player Advisory Council. Do you guys
Yeah.
know who's on the PAC?
Dude, I did for a long time. I feel like it's changed over so much, and who's on and who's not, and who's on the board now and who's not. I would
Well, Mr.
struggle.
Vajegas is the
I would
chairman, but I'm going to throw
struggle.
a few names at you. There's the directors, which is Camilo Villegas, Patrick Cantlay, Peter Malnati, Adam Scott, Webb Simpson, and Tiger Woods.
Coulda got those. I got that.
And then you've got then you go down to just the council itself. So I'm going to throw some names at you. Tell me if they're on the PAC or not. We'll do a little test here.
Gonna be
Seamus Power,
Yes.
Yes.
he is on the PAC. Yes. Ben Griffin,
No.
I'm gonna follow TC. I'm gonna say no.
he's not on the PAC.
Let me answer this one.
Brendan Todd,
What?
No.
Brendan Todd?
yeah,
Yes.
Shit.
Brendan Todd is not on the
All
PAC.
right. All right. All right.
Keith Mitchell,
Yes.
Yes.
Max Grazerman,
No.
No.
that's correct. Nick Hardy,
Yes.
Yes.
Adam Svensson.
No.
No.
God, all right.
All
You guys,
right.
you did pretty good. You did pretty
That's
good.
great.
Let's see. One
Matt
more.
McNeely
One
is on
more.
the pack.
Mackenzie
Lanto's on the
Hughes.
pack.
Mackenzie Hughes.
Kenzie Hughes is not on the pack.
Ooh.
He is
I was
on the
gonna say
pack.
yes.
He is
He's
on
always
Okay.
spouting off. He's got too much information to not be.
And you got
But I thought
Lantos,
he was
Sam
spouting off
Burns.
because he wasn't part of the process.
No, I guess he got on it this year.
Okay. Yeah, Lonto, I guess, is the squeakiest of squeaky wheels
Adam
to the point
Schenk.
where a few guys had to tell him to, quote,
Well,
"Shut
and
the
then,
fuck up."
I don't know if I love this, but I don't know how I feel about this. Grayson Murray's still listed as being on the pack. I believe he was replaced by Mav McNeely, but that's still on the website.
Gotcha.
So might need to update that one. So, and then Justin Thomas, Josh Teeter, Nick Taylor, Adam Schenk, Kevin
Josh
Streelman.
Teeter.
I think Brian Harmon, little Brian Harmon. He's bouncing around.
He's doing stuff.
So yeah,
He's doing stuff on the pack.
yeah, always doing stuff at the pack meetings.
Uh,
Um,
what else? What else? Kind of from this are those waterfall knock on effects. I thought Joseph Lamagna and the Fried Egg had a good breakdown of the whole situation. Would encourage people to go read that.
Yeah.
One of the things he pointed out in there, I was not really thinking about was just kind of the propensity for maybe big names actually playing more of those late summer events, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense if you have you got to be in the top 100 instead of the top 125. All of a sudden, it might, and the non-signature events are getting weighted a little heavier than they are now. He used, Jordan Spieth as the example of, I think, playing for the first time since 2015 at the John Deere, and it's like, man, if guys are worried about not being in that top 100, this might actually get them to some of those events. But anything else you guys are kind of flagging or seen as
I think
positive?
the I think the decrease from 30 to 20 on the Corn Ferry Tour, that's gonna be interesting. So they got 30 spots the last couple of years. That was like the 30. Now it's the 20. So there's gonna be more than a few guys that win a golf tournament out there and
Don't
don't
get
get their
through.
tour
Yeah.
card. Yeah, which I think kind of a tough break, but hey, you got to put together a full schedule. One thing I'd love to see them implement would be like a percentage of cuts made as well. Like if you don't meet this minimum threshold, doesn't matter. Like, and then I'd like to see them
Meaning, like, you almost
not
gotta
allow guys.
validate your you
Yeah,
gotta validate
exactly.
your
Like you
card.
can't just,
Yeah.
finish top 3 and then miss every other cut for the season because I think it's gotten a little too feast or famine. And then I think something else is guys stacking years like from multiple wins in the same season. So, like that just adds another year and like it should just be like eat what you kill
Yeah.
there, I think.
Try to have more.
It's
so
like
you
who's
don't agree
playing
with a
well right
2-year
now.
exemption if you
I'm
win?
fine with a 2-year exemption. I just don't think if you win twice in the same season, it shouldn't turn into a 3-year exemption,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So they did some stuff with PGA Tour University, added a few things as far as access goes there. And then the strength of field regulation is still there as well. Like if guys don't participate in 25 events in the current or previous season, the following season they would have to fulfill the strength of field regulation by participating in at least one tournament that they have not previously played during any of the preceding 4 seasons.
Huh. Anything I put this what?
They did a sponsor value program thing
All
too.
that.
The sponsor value functions are currently scheduled from 2 p.m. Tuesday to 7 p.m. Wednesday. Like this is how in the weeds this stuff is. Many players have expressed concerns about the Tuesday start time as it impacts their practice and preparation for the tournament. Additionally, tournament organizers have requested a schedule change because many C-level executives are not available on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. To address these concerns, it is proposed to push the Tuesday start time to 6 p.m. and then add in the option of a shorter function following a player's morning round on either Thursday or Friday.
See, this is where I think maybe I have a lot more sympathy for the PGA Tour folks than you do, TC, is seeing some of this stuff behind the scenes. Neil, it's a true, like, "Hey, we hear you. We are not gonna be getting those bagels from that place for the break room anymore. I hear you loud and clear. Those were not good. You're right. We deserve better than that." I mean, they have to figure out, like, that kinda shit, and also, how do you design this incredibly complex machine that is, like, totally fair for as many people as possible.
I
Plus,
Tyler the
you
Creator.
got 40 events all over the country. You got a different organization running all of those. I mean, it's just fucking circus, which also I think speaks to, just how hard it is to kind of turn the battleship around and why some of this stuff is A, long overdue, and B, just it's gonna probably keep
Yeah.
coming, right? Like, it's as they're kind of rebuilding and you get all the live stuff forcing all these changes. I mean, it's going to keep happening, until they get it down to whatever makes the most sense as a pure like entertainment product. So,
Which, yeah, and if there's, 200 total active tour members instead of 250. Feels like that makes the 200 happier, and it's, it's yeah, I know those 50, but aren't happy, but play better, man. There's 200 spots,
Any soft spot, Neil? I'll start with you. Any soft spot in your mind for kind of the Monday Q type of stories? This guy worked at Dick's Sporting Goods. He got through.
Yes,
He's
candidly,
playing the
yes.
3M this week.
But I think I think those are becoming just that, stories.
Yeah.
So they're kind of few and far between. It's a shame, but I guess I would trade those for a little bit more a simplified structure that I can understand a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they're not going away completely,
Yeah,
so
you just got
they'll
to
still
finish
be there.
second instead of fourth.
But
That's
yeah, I
not a
mean, you
big
got to
deal.
go out and like got to go shoot like 60.
And there's a lot of events where straight up there just is no more Monday qualifier. But also, I keep bringing up baseball stuff, but it's like there's no contest to like go play third base tonight either. Sometimes you
Yeah,
just have to like put in the time and make your way to the
yeah.
major leagues. Like that's kind of just how it works. But I don't know. Anything else on this before we move on?
Just like the pace of play stuff. Like I take my hat off to the tour. I'm so impressed that you guys were able to get this through. But like I just don't understand like why you had to simultaneously just
It's a
neuter the
rider,
pace
like
of play
on a
stuff.
bill in Congress, TC. They had to throw some money at some bridges in some
All right,
congressional
Cantlay,
district in
I
Idaho to
know
get
you
this
want
done.
this.
I just wish they'd publish this, average stroke
Yeah, I
time.
know.
They're calculating everything. Like, are you 12 seconds slower than the field average? Like, you're gonna get fined if you do it 3
We might
times.
need to put our resident Big J journalist on tracking that down.
I'd like to know the
Yeah.
times. I think that would be
Put that on our goals for
fascinating
2025.
intel.
Let's get our hands on that.
We should have somebody hack into ShotLink.
That'd be great. TC, tell us about H&B, our proud partners at H&B.
Oh, I'm wearing it right now, man. I got the Wallace hoodie on. Where's Wallace at? This thing's like my go-to fall hoodie. Especially now that we're through to God, we're into daylight savings is truly like one of the biggest shams perpetrated
Sure.
on this country. But
H&B has nothing to do with
um
that, though.
yeah, they got nothing to do with it. If anything,
They'd
they
vote
make it more
against it, I think.
comfortable during this time of year. So you can get stocked up for the holidays. Their holiday collection and gift guide is now live on their site, hbgolf.com. They got gift tiers under 200, under 150, under 125. They got gift boxes for holiday orders. I don't know. I wear this stuff to play golf, and I also wear it every single day when I'm not playing golf. It's versatile off-course product, like the Baxter corduroy pants. I don't know if you guys have gotten
Oh
those.
god,
Those are
I'm so in on corduroy. I might need
yeah.
to seek that out.
There was these blue shorts that I wore this weekend I went to the cocktail party, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party here in Jacksonville, and I wore these bright blue shorts they were radiant. I love them. Their shorts are just absolute fire. The cashmere, the sergeant sweater, all of that. NLU 10 for 10% off HB at hbgolf.com. And you know what? I would also say this is their 10th anniversary. This is our 10th
How about
anniversary.
that?
We've kind of been working with them from our start. Great vendor for us, great partner for us, and follow them on social too. Their Instagram and Twitter accounts are fantastic. Like Fridays, they do the Friday cocktails or the Friday drinks, and they do all the little details. They're into details,
I
Steve.
can't believe I've never been this guy, but yeah, I've started following more clothing brands on socials. Just let me
You're just
let me
getting
see
into
what
the
everybody's
brands.
doing. Let me
Trying to get some
Yeah,
inspo
I
from
don't
the
know. Let me
brands. I
see what
love it.
everybody's doing. I like it. I echo everything you said. Great guys, great team, great products. There's a slogan for you. Holderness and Bourne.
They're product
That's
guys.
exactly
Simplify shit, understand
That's
shit,
right.
play better
I
golf.
love
All
it.
right.
Speaking of which, Neil, our next story tonight, we're going to talk a little TPI, Titleist Performance Institute. You guys describe it. Neil, we had a video that came out this week of your time there working with Dr. Greg Rose. Tron, you were waiting in the wings. You were also being assessed. Your video has not come out yet, so don't spoil too much throughout this conversation. But Neil, what is TPI? What did you do? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, you were my John the Baptist, all right? You had a TPI video come out
That's right.
2 months ago. So you've been through the assessment. No, you and Cody both said you got
And
to get
Casey.
out there. And Casey. Well, but you two
Yeah,
specifically were like, I think you would really enjoy
And
this.
Max.
sure.
I like being a guinea pig for this kind of stuff. So yeah, it was very eye-opening would be the words I would use for it. It's been very helpful But it's not a lesson. It's
It's
more
it's
information.
hard
It's
to
like not, it's the truth that,
right.
like, knowledge is power, and I have the knowledge, but we have to
Yeah.
continue to put in the work to make it better. But
It's
I have
basically
a lot of
showing
takeaways.
you what your reality is.
Yeah.
Yes,
As a golfer.
it is the
And
ultimate
then
benchmark
As a golfer,
of
not like
like,
a human being.
well, here I think the thing that sticks out to me is the assessment is it's nice when someone assesses you, but to have the ability to compare you to thousands of other golfers, most of those being top tier, like this is what the PGA Tour average is for upper body power, core power, and lower body power. So they've kind of created these tests that they put you through. So it gives you kind of a physical benchmark, and then it's the learning about the power process of how, and I'll also say, like, teachers matter. I think Dr. Greg Rose is one of the best teachers I've ever been around. I was only around him for, 3 or 4 hours, but I think I said in the
He
video, he reminds me of a few of the history teachers I had in
Sure.
high school that you're just like, God, that guy,
I get it.
like Dr.
Okay.
Beasy from Marist, TC, our
yeah.
art history teacher. You're just like, man, this guy is making this information stick.
Yeah.
And the way he would
He's a big
explain, like,
analogy
okay,
guy, which is the key to your heart.
great for me, but also just okay, here's how it works. 95% of golfers and 99% of the top golfers create power in a specific process. Hips go first, then they drop, then they turn, and then they basically push off the ground. And there's like he's like you could kind of flop like one or two of those things, but it's going to be kind of funky. So we know that we've measured this on thousands of golfers, and this is just some do certain parts of that better than others, and some time it differently. So he's already kind of explaining like it's not that there's one way to hit a golf ball, but there's one way to transfer power like efficiently. And so it starts to like immediately I'm like, oh, okay, that's simplifying things for me.
It's
But
kind
at
of
the
like
same time, he's got
everybody's doing it.
30,000 charts up
Yeah.
there. And so he's like a Sherpa of like guiding you through all this data that you couldn't understand on your own.
Which is wild when he
But
gets
he's
done with it and he's showing you the kinematic sequence or the kinetic sequence or whatever, and
oh,
you're
it's the
like, "Oh,
best.
yeah, no, I totally and I could read this now." Like, you're doing such a good job of teaching it that, like, I know exactly how these force plates work. It's wild. You obviously
And
don't, but
I've
he makes you feel like you
I've
do.
watched the video now, 3 times, and I feel like I'm still learning from it and applying that to some of the workouts I have. And like one that stuck out to me is and I think you'll see this in TC's video, is the mobility stuff's really important for me because especially my right hip there's an exercise he made me do where he's like, I want you to keep your upper body still and turn your
I
lower
like
body. And I
so
really
yeah.
struggled to do that. But then he was like, now I want you to keep your lower body still and turn your upper body. And I had great range of motion. And he's like,
Sword
well, that's
turns. Can't do it.
he's like, "Oh, you're over the top." Like that's why. Like your brain's going to go the path of least resistance. And so naturally when I take the club back, I'm fake turning basically. A lot of it is just in my upper body and then that creates a bunch of problems. So it's really fun. He starts it off too with, imagine I'm a genie and you get 3 wishes. And I thought like reflected, before I went on the trip of like, what do I want? And I wanted to understand. I said to him, I was like, I don't really want to draw the golf ball, but I want to know what it feels like to hit a draw and come inside out. And he basically taught me how to do that. Now, a takeaway is with great power comes great responsibility. So you start using that left leg, Deej,
Yeah,
and
man.
getting some push, as he said, like pushing off that left leg, or it's almost like cracking the whip. And
Yeah.
a good analogy for me is like he's like, you're great on the way out, but you never snap, and like there's no place where you
Yeah.
snap the fulcrum and actually transfer the power through the club head. And that really stuck with me as well. But like I said, you start snapping the whip and that ball starts going left. Oh my God, I got 10 years of aiming up the left side of the course. You telling me I got to aim right now? So that's been a big adjustment for me. And I haven't had a ton of range time, but I have been working the mobility stuff.
That is a heady decision by you. Let me just pick that apart. I don't just teach me how to have the feel of the shot that I definitely don't want. Is it
No, no, it's not that I don't want it. I just want to know. I feel like what I said to him was I feel like I am fighting to stay above
Yeah.
water. You know what I'm saying? Like to be on plane or just to have a 0 on the launch monitors. Like I just want the club path to say 0.
That's
I don't want it to say
Ye
negative. You know what I
I've
mean?
never met somebody who is so I don't know, maybe I'm projecting or assessing you too closely, but you love making the numbers say the right thing. You don't give a shit where the
And
ball goes.
that's
You
dangerous.
He's like the cat. The cat's like
I
that too.
remember
Well,
going
yeah,
to, like, coastal indoor golf with you
I
in
know, I
Jacksonville, and it's
know.
just like, why does the face to path say -3.4? I
It's
fucking
like
hate that. I hate that.
like
They're like, "No, it's
7.
fine.
It's
It's
like
just like a
outside
little
in
it's
7.
just like a
Like,
little
it's not
cut.
good.
It's fine." No, I hate it. It should be 0.
Well, because it creates a spinny ball. Because in my head, what I told him was like, that feels very inefficient to me.
Yeah.
And I would like
Well,
my swing to be more
yeah.
efficient. I don't like feeling like I'm not maximizing the power that I'm generating. And, we learned that you're not. He's
Well,
like,
yeah,
you
that Neil,
create it.
that's I thought your assessment, like I think mine was interesting. I don't think it was shocking.
Well, I thought yours was fascinating
What were
too.
your
I mean,
It was
TCs? Did you have 3
fascinating.
wishes, or did you say a lot of directions I could go?
Well,
I got 9
yeah,
or
I
10.
I struggled with the
Tied
wishes because
tied
I
for 5th. I have.
no, because it was, like, very, like, "How granular do you want me to get?"
Yeah.
kinda thing, and I was like, I know, like, if you fix this, it's gonna fix that, and this is all laddering up or whatever, but, yeah, that whole conversation was a complete mess, but there was genuine wonderment and amazement from Greg when he saw both my lack of fitness and mobility and also I think I'm a 28
I was gonna
handicap
ask, what was your
physically.
so one of the best things about the assessment is he puts you through all this, like, if you're watching the video, you like, what's your range of motion like this? Okay, do this. Okay, what's your range of motion like this? And he measures all of those things and how high can you jump? Okay, now jump on one leg. Okay, how long can you hold this? Okay, great. He's got his stopwatch out. Like he measures all of this, puts it all into a computer, and then it gives you like a fitness handicap of basically like what you're capable of right now. So I forget what mine. I think I was right around there too. TC. I think I was like 28 or something.
I don't
Yeah.
remember what my fitness handicap was. I was pretty much my
I think you were at, like, a 7 or an 8, you know?
yeah, my
Or
upper body was like above average, and then my core was below average, and my legs were like right just slightly below, like PGA Tour average. It was like, hey, you're doing pretty
And
well.
I was at 19 actually. That's
yeah,
better than
Is
I
it in
thought.
the TPI
It
app?
yeah,
is. It is.
yeah. But he looked at my swing afterwards, and he was like, "Wait, what's your handicap?" I don't know, I, like, fluctuate between, like, a 1 and a 3. He's like, "Are you serious?"
That's a good.
Like, he starts digging in on my swing, and he said, "You have the closest thing I've ever seen of anybody I've ever worked with to a gate swing. It's the exact same on the way back and the way through,
How about that?
where, like, you have all these limitations, all this crazy physical stuff that, like, your midsection just straight up doesn't work, and
Yeah,
yet
yeah.
you
No different.
you are so remarkably on plane, it's crazy."
God.
I was like, "Man, I don't know whether to, like, be ashamed or be proud of
Well,
that."
that's what's so cool about the assessment too is, you go through all this stuff, and I'm looking at the app now, and it gives you like, okay, on toe touches, I get like a yellow light, but on my pelvic rotation, I get a green light. And, there's probably a couple red lights in there too. And it basically says, like, okay, due to all of these limitations, you probably struggle with loss of posture, early extension, over the top, like everything that I'm just like, yep, check, check, check. And his whole thing is like, man, I just really, if I do this assessment, I don't really need to, like, I'll watch you hit a couple golf shots, but like, computer's already going to know what you struggle with and kind of nail you to the wall. So,
Well, I kind of had him fooled for a while.
Well, yeah, Neil's had this unbelievable reveal.
Yeah,
It was because that was basically going into it. What I was gonna say earlier, Neil, was like, I was more fascinated for years than I was for my own of where is all of this power going? Like, Neil
yeah,
should be hitting the ball 330. I mean, he's got great hands, he's got fast twitch, he's got explosion, he's got swing speed, great position at the top. Where is all this where's the leakage at? And we were able to identify that.
yeah. So my wishes got kind of blown up because of some posture problems, and then turns
I
out I
mean, it's a
just
good thing
wasn't.
your wishes got blown up instead of your
that's
back.
true.
Yeah, true. And then I wasn't using my left leg, but I just I don't know. I really appreciate the redoing some of the Titleist performance, like the campus, and they're working with other sports, baseball players. It's just really like I think it's awesome when another industry
Yeah.
goes and searching for answers to like an unrelated industry of like maybe you could help
Yeah.
us solve this. I think that's
I'm
really,
trying
really
to get to the
cool.
moon. Can we talk to the golf people for a little bit? Maybe they got
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also the golf people we were talking about the driver, like, yeah, we had to find a new polymer for the for the driver. So they're talking to somebody, in the rocket space, in like Taiwan. Like It's I don't know. I find all of it fascinating.
It
So it's really cool. And the fact that they have, I don't know, it's such a head start on the collection. They've done such a good job cataloging all the golfers that come through there.
yeah,
So they'll pull up like, they pull up Max's swing or just pretty much anybody's swing, and it's like, here's what these guys do. And so the comparison is really where the value is.
right.
Is like, okay, you start to pick up on patterns, which is
Baseline, and there's a lot
really,
of
really
context there.
interesting.
And there's a lot of guys that you have no idea that they're going out there to work,
Yeah,
who aren't on staff with Titleist or,
Yeah.
some of the best baseball players in the world.
yeah.
Like, it's truly biomechanics and
It's hard to talk around it because there's no, like endorsement deals and stuff, but it's just it's people you've heard of, I guess is what
Yeah.
I guess is what I would say. That's where they're going for answers. So it's a weird one because the takeaway I know from a lot of people is like, oh, like how do I get some time on Greg Rose's calendar? It's like, well, I don't know. We're just
Maybe more
happen to be
options.
the right.
They're expanding the space.
Yeah.
So it
Well, what I was
might
gonna
be
say is TPI is like a nationwide program, and there's TPI fitness instructors all over the place. So there have been a lot of people who are
it's a
like,
framework and a
yeah, a
philosophy.
lot of people who are like, man, I saw these videos and I booked a session with my local guy, and now I'm doing similar
Yeah.
workouts and all that stuff. So, just I don't know. This wasn't like an ad segment.
This is like what
It's
we
like,
wanted to talk about
man,
this week.
thank you to those guys for having us out because it's truly like we get to
Yeah.
do a lot of very fortunate, cool stuff for being a collection of talentless dipshits for the most part, and that this is among the coolest ones. So it's
I got a lot of work to do. The thing about the mobility stuff though is you got to stay consistent with it.
yeah,
And that's that mobility stuff is very tedious. And so I've been trying to work it in like when I watch TV and stuff I sometimes I won't do the whole program as at
Yeah.
once, but
better than
if you
nothing.
do the exercises enough, you start to remember
Yeah,
them. So you're like, "Oh, I'll just do the clamshell one right now,"
right.
or like the hip disassociation stuff. But God, if you don't do it for a week, then you go kind of start back from square one.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to make it
It's
a part of
truly
my
the
life.
little wins. Little wins add up to something big. I'll be candid. I haven't done enough of it. I'll go in spurts, like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll travel for a week and a half or 2 weeks. I need to get better at doing it on the road. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this winter too. Go watch Neil's. It's
it's great.
it's freaking sweet. And
And
Zach, our
yeah,
our
it's
editor
just
with
in
it.
time for golf season to be over up here in the Northeast. But Deej, we have a big finish to the year coming up,
I
buddy.
love it, man.
One more chance, baby. One more chance to put that left miss in play
That's
this
right.
year.
Bring your clubs down for Thanksgiving in a few weeks, Neil.
Yeah,
Go play.
I think I might have to.
Do you guys know who the best physical handicap, like
The
best,
golfer.
physical handicap index golfer is in the history of TPI?
God,
And it's been like true throughout his career, like from the time he got there all the way till now.
Jordan Spieth.
Adam Scott.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
that, man. Surfing, the surfing just works every muscle, works every bit of mobility. You can't fake your way through that.
He's like a unicorn
That's
as
crazy.
far as physical
Which
Also,
is
coverage.
my
also
golf
like,
handicap
but
was
that's
was 26, so I wasn't much better than you
26?
guys. Yeah.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah, I had some bad
Was some of that
mobility
like the
stuff.
shoulder and the hip?
Yeah.
Mm.
My
Yeah.
my especially my hip, a lot of red on the hips.
Well, I feel like the Adam Scott thing is kind of the perfect example of watching TV and being like, "Man, why can't I swing it like Adam Scott?" It's like, well, because you don't have, like, his body. Like, your hips don't work like that, and your ankles don't work like that, and your wrists don't work like that, and your shoulders don't go like that.
Well, I should probably give Solly an apology for calling Mr. Penguin because
Did you get a
Greg
little.
was like
Oh,
he
that's
was like,
tough.
"Yeah, just open up your feet." I was like, "God damn it," you know?
I don't want never mind, I'll just hit it right. That's
No, I'm just gonna play a cut.
All right. Well, thank you again to the TPI folks for having us out. Go watch Neil's video. Like you said, our buddy Zach
Yeah.
Lee edited that. I just will, from a production standpoint, impossible edits. Those videos are so hard to edit, and Zach is like a TPI guy himself, so he's like, oh man, I can't believe you got to meet Dr. Greg Rose. I'm such a huge fan. I've seen everything they've ever done on social. I know you don't even have to give me any direction. I know exactly what this edit should be. So he's the best. He did a great job.
He's also sent me some extra stretching stuff. You guys need to get into the knees over toes guy on YouTube, you know,
He's
doing the
got me into him.
outstretch.
Well,
Yeah,
Zach had a great. If you go to the about 5 minutes and 20 seconds into Neil's video,
that was a sweet edit, TC.
Yeah, it was basically like
Greg's talking about how you
he's
you go over a cliff
I
when you
was like, "You
turn
can't get more flexible
43.
after 26," I heard. He's like, "It's actually 43," and TC's like, "Oh."
it's basically just like some people are ticking time bombs that are just like about to blow up, and you just cut away to TC's face.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But like meanwhile, Greg's literally telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm sure every 8 months you're just seeing like 4 less yards, and you're just getting shorter and shorter." I'm just like, "Oh my god, yeah, man.
Yeah, no,
How'd you know
I figured that
that?"
was just nothing. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's keep moving. We got a lot more to get to somehow still. But before we do, we are going to talk about our friends at Pinehurst TC. Who could forget the duel between Bryson and Rory down the stretch at the 2024 US Open? And who among us is going to want to try Bryson's shot from the bunker to see if we can get it up and down? That's a great question because you need to be prepared to face your own pressure on that shot with a veranda on the 18th green full of golfers who have already finished their day. Now watching you try to finish yours. Love sitting there on the deuce. That's the best place to watch people. Nobody ever hits the cup. That's the best. That's the best bet. If you're sitting out there, make bets with your friends on whether they're going to actually hit the cup or
Well,
not.
don't ruin it. I
Everybody,
feel like now
everybody
you're
scoops it. No, don't tell your friends, and then you just, then you play some bets. Don't forget, just a couple of months before the US Open reminded everyone of what kind of a gem number 2 really is. Pinehurst also opened a new course, Pinehurst number 10, which opened in the spring of this year and was designed by Tom Doak. Number 10 features dramatic elevation changes, natural sandy areas, and remnants of an early 20th century sand mining operation. Neil, you got to see the eighth hole. You saw number 10 all in its glory in person, right? We got another video that
I did.
people need to go check out of that too.
Yes, Ben and I, set the alt shot course record out there.
Congratulations. I've been meaning to
I think
congratulate you about
I think
that.
it's 81.
Yeah. Uh,
Come get us.
Pinehurst continues to invest in its present and future, making it better and better every year. Renovations at the Carolina are now complete, offering fresh and inspired takes on its guest rooms and lobby. Pinehurst even debuted another new restaurant, the Carolina Vista Lounge, which has an expanded cocktail bar with contemporary menu unlike any other at Pinehurst, and offers guests a stylish and satisfying respite befitting its setting in the historic Carolina Hotel. Best breakfast in America. Also, Neil has called the
yes.
Carolina Hotel.
Many many people have
And the
said.
manner's
The
great
manor
these days
manor
too.
rules. And
Yeah.
there's so much good
The
stuff
Ryder
at
Cup
Pinehurst.
bar.
Yeah. 2025 rates are out now, and anyone can book a trip to Pinehurst through 2025. Also, we have I believe our registration for the Donnybrook is open now. Neil?
It's
Oh, it's
closed now. We already
closed.
All right,
yeah,
well,
we pulled the lottery.
So you gotta go to
so you
just
gotta
the
book a trip.
Pinehurst
Yeah, I'm
site
sorry, you
and
missed out on
book
ours.
it through there.
We're gonna have a bunch of people there, but, you might have missed out on the
Yeah,
registration, so you might have to book
yeah.
your own trip at
And play number
Pinehurst.
3
Number 3 rules.
too. Number 3 is
I love it.
awesome.
All
So
right, guys, this is a different one. We're gonna debut a little new segment here. TC, we've always got so much shit that we're trying to work in. But I don't know if we're gonna have a half hour conversation about everything. So
yeah.
I am going to kick this off. We're gonna call this the E9. I put together 9 things that I wanted to talk with you guys about, some of them long, some of them short. And we're just gonna kind of rifle through them. Okay. So please stop me if you need to talk about anything, but otherwise we'll just keep moving. Number one,
Yeah,
the Ryder Cup TC is headed to Spain. Much like
it
I
is.
feel like the Carter brothers have just been spending, as go you guys, so goes the world of golf. I feel like, you guys
See,
are you guys are taking trips to Spain. According to the Spanish golf news outlet 10 Golf, the Ryder Cup is expected to return into Spain in 2031. Report says that Cameral Golf and Wellness is the overwhelming favorite to host. Neil, I know you love golf
Which is the
and
former
wellness, but
loving when someone's running a wellness retreat. That's good stuff.
former PGA Catalunya
there you go.
was the name of it too. So it's about an hour south of Barcelona. Barcelona. I don't know. I don't think it's the greatest,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about
right?
this
But
at length over the next, until 2031. I think we've kind of said all we probably have to say about Ryder Cup venues. They never are going to go to a good
yeah,
golf course. They're going to go to wherever they can make the most money and try to have people who are booking, big expensive travel packages, give them cool places to go. And as someone who went to Rome, uh, seemed to work pretty well. So I don't know. We'll see what the golf course is, but at the end of the day, they don't really seem to think it matters all that much.
2031. Ludwig might be a captain by
That's
that point,
true.
right? I was hoping it would go to Spain. or
Sweet.
to Sweden,
Uh,
So
all right, moving on. Number 2, Grant Thornton teams are out. TC, I know you were all over this. I want to know who's your guys' favorite team and why at the Grant Thornton. This is, of course, the mixed team event. One man, one woman, playing some sort of format in Naples. I'm not really sure what it is.
yeah, I mean, there's a few that I love, like Lauren, our young hitter, Lauren Coughlin, playing with Cam Young,
That's a
another
fun one.
friend of the
That's a
program.
fun one.
That's great.
Yeah, I like that.
Sahith playing with Rose Zhang, JT Poston getting the call, playing with Maya Stark. But man, the one that really, really made me laugh was Akshay playing with Jennifer Kupcho.
That's good
That
stuff.
is good
Just,
stuff. I did get it.
I know
just
TC's trying
doesn't.
to activate with that Ricky Lexi
Hell yeah,
pairing.
man. Team Cobra Puma.
We got Nick Dunlap with Gabby Ruffles is a good one. Billy Horschel and Andrea Lee's really interesting.
I didn't know. I don't know if I
Maybe
totally
good
I
wedge
don't know if I
play.
totally saw that one. Billy's kind of, you know, Billy likes to talk. I didn't get that vibe from Andrea Lee. I don't know. Maybe she seemed a little more quiet, a little more reserved. But maybe Billy will be doing the media for that team. We'll see.
I know TC's gonna be riding for little Corey Connors and Brooke Henderson.
That's a fun one. That's kind of in your ass,
Uh,
TC, Team Canada.
we got Kuchar and Megan Kang. Kuchar's beat this
He
tournament up
he
for
loves
decades
he
now.
loves it. He loves it. All right, number 3. This was an interesting one. There's a story from Adam Shupak at Golf Week. Shupak, I feel like we shout him out a lot. He's always got good stuff, man. He's always sniffing
He's a
around.
go Lions. He's a fellow
That's
Columbia
right,
guy.
that's
Come
right. He's
on.
always got good stuff. All right, so here's what he had to say this week at Golf Week. 24 players and 9 captains who participated in this year's President's Cup, and I believe also the 2022 President's Cup as well, if I read the story correctly, received a stipend of $250,000 that they could, quote, do with whatever they please. Previously, participants for the President's Cup, just like the Ryder Cup, were not paid, but they were given an allocation, like a donation in your name, basically. We are going to make a donation to X, whatever cause, whatever charity you like, on behalf of you playing in this event. So this is a departure from that. This is like a check for 250K to go do with what you want. I think the hope, and I'm sure the reality for a lot of players, is that they will still pass that along to charity. But I think on the other side, it kind of gets the PGA Tour out of the headache of having to reimburse for travel and for hotels and for all kinds of like weird stuff, which again is just one of those things like the tour has to deal with in or like in conjunction with also just making all of these guys all of their money and trying to put on a world class like entertainment
I
product.
love the
So
use of stipend.
stipends is a great word. Anytime you can get that in is a dub.
You
Like,
should
no,
call it an
it should be
allowance.
used for
Exactly.
for expenses. So I guess 250. Yeah, I guess the
You
private
got to
jet
do stuff to
expense.
get your
That's right.
allowance, though.
Yeah.
So I guess the uncharitable reading of this, the very, very cynical reading of this would be, I guess players could just keep all of this money and ergo be paid for playing in these team events. And it sounds like, according to Shoepak's reporting, the Ryder Cup is likely to follow suit. Maybe with $750 tickets, the allowance might be a little bigger, but we'll see. It's kind of an interesting one of the, for something that like has been such a big deal for so long. Should players get paid for these events? Should they not? For this to just be like a really kind of like quiet, I hope no one notices that part of the media guide where players are giving charitable donations to disappeared it's just really funny to me. So I just wanted to make sure this made the list. Any other reaction to
It's
this?
just, yeah. I mean, I think at some point it's like, all right, well, like, why are we only getting 250,000? Like, this is, and
That
I
was like the
think
next question.
maybe it's a little bit of a,
How'd you decide on 250?
Yeah, I'd like to see
yeah,
the math.
yeah, show us your math. The PGA Tour, like, this is helping fund the overall operation and everything. Whereas, and even the Ryder Cup, they're getting what, 20% of I think the top line revenues.
Is that right?
The
Yeah.
PGA Tour is,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's, it's kind of it was kind of a what's good for
Goose.
the gander was good for the goose, and now it's now it's kind of flipped on its head.
The
So
geese are migrating back up to the north.
Uh,
the geese are down in Jupe.
get a good look at a T-bone steak.
All right, moving on. Number 4, TC. This was a prompt that I stole from you that I really liked. Straight up, not a headline here. Who's the most interesting person you've played golf with in 2024? Neil, I'm going to start with you.
I thought deeply. I went through my gin
I
today,
did
trying
too.
trying to
Yeah.
remember rounds. Honorable mention would be my guy Mike Caridi, down
Magic
on King
Mike
Island.
he was
Mike.
up here for the
Yeah,
World Series.
not to be confused with Carini Beach,
Right, of
uh,
course.
but
He's so bummed about those
That's a
Yankees.
long way to
but
fly to
he's
go to
honorable mention.
watch the Yankees.
I have to give it to my guy Harrell from the
I was
Publix.
hoping so.
He's a Dominican dude. I think he was 61. He shot 2 under in our first 18 of a 36-hole day. He started playing golf at age 41, and he beat the shit out of me. And just everything about him, like the sun sleeves, the fit, his caddy was wearing loafers. It was sick. And he's just like a public golf menace. And it was awesome to see. And it gave me hope. I was like, damn, this guy's beat my ass. And then it's like, man, my best golf's ahead of me. I love it.
That's one of my favorite moments in the history of maybe the history of my golf career. Definitely the history of Strapped was when we played with Scott Fagley in Peoria, and Neil's waxing on him. He's like, man, he's just got that like old dad game, he's just chipping it away out there. Like that's what that's what my game's gonna evolve into. And Randy's like, no, it's not, dude. Like you could do that right now if you wanted. You just don't want to do that. And it just
Well, you're not
it
capable.
just started this whole great discussion. Just really anyway, so Harold's kind of the
Yeah.
natural evolution, the
Aspirational
final
game.
boss
Just
of that.
hit it 240 on just a tight draw all day long.
All right, TC, let me go next.
Yeah.
Just because this is an easy one, we've talked about him a lot, but I think he is at the tip top of my list. I'm going to give it to our guy Matt Malika. It's a guy I have played with before. He's not a new golf partner. Obviously, played with him during the first season of Tour Sauce, but a guy that is truly like you could be any citizen of the world and be dropped into that foursome, and he's going to find something unbelievably engaging to talk to you about. He knows everything about everything, but not in a braggadocious way. He is just like a curious, fascinating dude who I could sit and talk to for just hours and hours and hours. So he's one of my favorites.
Malika probably would have been on my list, but I didn't actually play with
That's
him.
what I
I
figured.
just
I
spent
figured
too
he
much
wasn't
more
going to be on your
time
list.
with
So
him.
I didn't want to take him in.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a bunch from when I was over in Scotland this summer.
You get one, TC.
No, I know.
We got
I played
Literally
with a
your
former
prompt.
professional skier who lived in Vietnam and Thailand for decades, and he was fascinating.
This
And,
is like one of the political debate people. I met a mother in Iowa. She'll be,
no,
she'll be
actually, we were
she
at
never she
Urban.
never gets
We
to
met we
play
met
golf
this
anymore.
we met this ER doctor, Dr. Ballspeed. We called him. He's an ER doctor in Glasgow, and he just treats like a bunch of stab wounds all day. Like he's like,
Dr. Balls.
works all night. But most interesting guy. It was actually I'm kind of cheating because it was a father and a son. I didn't play with the father, but I had dinner.
And I
with
met him on the
afterwards.
campaign trail. And they came up to me and they said, sure.
Stan Morrison at Turnberry, Presswick guy, Turnberry guy. He grew up next to the hotel. Like his parents own, their family is a big Scotch distillery family. So they used to own like the Macquarie and they own the house next door to Trump Turnberry, the hotel. Just talking to them about all of that over the last 20, 30 years. It was fascinating. He used to work for, I believe, Williams Sonoma out in the Bay Area
Sure.
post college, and now he runs a Scotch distillery over there. He plays in the Crump Cup. Like he's a proper player. Didn't start. He played rugby growing up. Didn't start playing golf till he was in his 20s.
Sounds like a citizen of the world.
He's like a +4, +5. He's just nasty. So Stan Morrison and his dad Tim, two of the more interesting Renaissance men I've ever met.
I love it.
So,
That's a great prompt. I'm gonna keep thinking about that one. That almost feels like everybody should have an individual, power ranking. It's like the Randy's Gottning
yeah.
list. If what a thrill it would be if a new person, if you find a new person, they move onto your list. All right, number 5, TC. I'm reading about this. Jalen Hurts has a no golf clause. It
He
sounds like
doesn't.
maybe
He doesn't.
that was mistaken.
Yeah, it was. It's just a courtesy to owner Jeffrey Lurie. That Lurie said, "quote I don't want you getting obsessed with golf, and that distracting you." So Hurts, it's more that Lurie doesn't want him playing golf, and he's being considerate of that. But I guess they played with Saquon and a couple other guys played Marion. So Marion with Obama, and Hurts was like, yeah, I was just like, he was like, yeah, Hurts was just watching. He couldn't play. It's in his contract that he can't play. So, which is kind of a Falwell situation at Marion, which is tough. You
I
know?
mean, I have to put that in Sauce Gardner's contract.
Exactly.
Uh,
Anything that Neil, I know you're kind of our head of HR. Anything you're looking to put in the future NLU contracts? Maybe
I like.
get Randy to stop playing tennis. We just
Ah,
I don't know if that's taken away from his golf watching.
I might put it in that Randy has to do bonsai classes again. I think that was good
I
for him.
agree.
We should put it in that Randy has to play golf.
That's where I
Yeah,
thought you were going.
that's well
Turn it
said.
on its
Yeah, that's where I
head.
thought you were
Yeah.
going with that one. All right, TC, number 6. I'm gonna throw this one to you. This is just a simple, does
Yeah.
this mean anything? This is the
Okay.
Live Golf edition of this game. I'm gonna read you a couple things. You tell me, does this mean anything or not? Number 1, Greg Norman's Live contract is up in August 2025. Does that mean anything?
Yes.
Could be moving on. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Paul Casey and Peter Costas split up. TC, does this mean anything?
No, it's an election year. Anything can happen,
That's
guys.
true. All right. Eddie Pepperell claims on a podcast, I believe the Chipping Forecast, that the PIF is going to buy Wentworth. Does this mean anything?
Depends on what your definition of anything is, right? Because then, your DP World Tour headquarters is at Wentworth, I
It
believe.
is.
BMW PGA is there. All of that.
I got this as a big,
Maybe they'll redo
yeah.
the 18th hole for
I
a
think this
19th
does
time.
mean something. I think this is
Yeah.
a canary in the coal mine. If the game unites, I think the PIF goes on a spending spree on things like Top Golf adjacent golf courses. They're just going to try to get in the game with acquisitions like this.
That's going to be fun.
Well, how about
It's the
your guy
TPC network.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't they do
No, I
something like
know.
that?
Yeah.
I'm with
Neil
you.
Chip Brewer? Speaking of which, he was floated as one of the guys for the PGA of America's
Yeah.
Really?
presidency. Yeah, I don't think he's one of the 3 finalists, but he was in that.
He was in that was another shoe pack story. Shoe packs all over it.
Well, fantastic article in the Financial Times about the Callaway Top Golf, I guess, merger acquisition, and then now the divestment and where it all went wrong. Turns out Top Golf's very capital intensive.
All right. Last one.
Oh, and Jay and
Yeah,
Yasser,
last one here. TCJ and Yasser reportedly playing in a Pro-Am in Riyadh this week. I believe that was LAT Aramco series event. Does this mean anything? This might lead us into number 7 here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're, we've heard mixed things over the last couple months on where they're at. So stoked to see them playing Riyadh Golf Club together under the lights, I believe, too. It was a night pro.
Good to see Jay taking an opportunity to wipe a competitor off the board.
Exactly.
I wonder, who do you think wins? I don't really know much about Yasser's golf game. I didn't really watch much at the Dunhill.
Somebody
Andrew Waterman, I should say.
Somebody tabulated it. Now, granted, it was with their pro partners from the Dunhill, and I think Jay won like 3 and 2.
Let me ask you this: who would win the ratings? This next match that's like the fake Live versus PGA Tour, Scotty, Rory.
That's not even a match. No, the next match is
no, but
showdown, Dean. That's a
course,
showdown.
right.
The next match is like Wayne Gretzky,
Right,
and
which
God knows whoever.
We can talk about that on the next. See if that makes the next E9. But the next one, Rory and Scotty, Bryson and Brooks. What gets better ratings, that or Jay versus Yasser? Just like straight up and like winner gets like a increased bargaining chip in the negotiations.
If there are real stakes involved, like some type of bargaining chip,
I think that would be awesome.
Then I think it would get better ratings. But if not, probably the showdown.
Okay.
Loser leaves town.
All right, number 7. Okay, so this is from The Sun in the UK, which I'm not going to denigrate any reporting, but I think maybe a little fast and loose with the facts historically, kind of on that tabloid side of things. But
they might not be wrong. They might just
that's
be
exactly right. That's why it's making the E9, TC. They are reporting that, quote, golf civil war is, all caps, over, as Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods have helped negotiate a $1.3 billion peace deal between Live Golf and the PGA Tour. It says Live will now, quote, come under the PGA umbrella, end quote, and that the deal will give the PIF an 11% stake in the tour, as well as 2 board seats, including the post of chairman. Any takeaways here? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tried to confirm. It's all my reputable people are like, I haven't been told about this yet. It seems like 2 board seats plus Live continuing on and playing under the PGA Tour umbrella. 11% feels like a cool. Like, but it just gets me back to even 2 years ago. Like, if that's where we're gonna get to, like, this is the deal we were gonna do. Like, why couldn't we have just done this 2 years ago? And I know they had to set up PGA Tour Enterprises or, the for-profit arm and all of that. But I think it would be deeply, deeply, deeply funny if Live keeps going under the tour umbrella, and like that would piss Tiger off so
It seems
much.
like
Like,
it.
that's right.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, who do you draft? Like, would like I would say, cool, like Fleetwood, like you get the cliques, man. Like the cliques are your squad, or or you force other
I
guys.
mean,
Like you force some of these guys that were in the 100 to
oh,
125. You force them to start playing live.
First of all, I know you don't want to hear this, Tron, but Fleetwood would be on the Majestics. Like that's no question. I think that would be his
Sorry,
squad.
No,
TC.
Neil, anyone?
then they would have to turn over the team completely.
Well, I just feel like he fits that kind of. I mean, that's the British
I
squad.
think Team Rose would be on the
Yeah,
Majestics.
maybe. Okay, that's actually fair. I take it back. Neil, anybody you're immediately putting if this is true, and all of a sudden everybody's kind of under one umbrella. Anybody you're saying, hey, you gotta be on the Ironheads or the Los Fireballs.
I feel unprepared for this one.
Okay, we'll go.
Tom Kim, Ironhead.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. Well, listen, more to come there. My sense is they are probably fairly close to some sort of deal, but this report even
Yeah,
like is so non-specific that it's like literally you could have just changed the date.
1.3
You could have
billion.
changed the date to like June 6th, 2022, and it would have been like the same story. So TC, I don't know if I don't have Cody here to put up slides on the screen, and this is just a prompt for everybody to go watch the show on YouTube. But can you guys see that?
The Mayan temple site?
No, this is
So
this is
sick.
one of the newly released holes from the upcoming TGL. Who's the architect? TC, it's your guy Pisa.
Pisa. Yeah.
I forget his first name. Uh,
Augustine, I think.
Augustine Pisa.
He used to be Brandel's, co-design partner. And I think they've since gone their separate
For
ways.
those that are not watching the YouTube channel and my clunky overlay here, it's basically just two giant pyramids. You could obviously see the strategy here, TC. You could either, you could lay back into the wider part of the pyramid, or you could really go for it. I think maybe this promotes like true bomb and gouge, right? Like it's like the farther you hit it, like the more space you seem to have to hit it down there. But
Yeah.
just curious if you had any thoughts on this. I know we talked TGL last week, Solly and and I don't know if you had any kind of lingering thoughts as the season approaches.
Yeah, I had a call with actually some of the TGL guys. The tech sounds like it's ready. From everything it sounds like, Neil, it's truly the arena truly reminds me of basketball.
Really?
Yes.
That's
Like,
fantastic.
yeah. So, like, in a good way. And then I forgot they're playing off of real grass.
Yeah,
Like, they're
Solly's
bringing
fucking
the grass
stoked.
in.
Is the arena ready? Because that was, if I
The
remember
arena is
correctly,
getting
an
ready.
issue last year.
Well, the roof
Yeah,
blew off,
and
as you remember.
That was I was
yeah.
understating that a little bit.
Well, like,
Thank
the
you,
roof
TJ.
was the arena. Like, it was a bubble. I'm still not ready to choose my team.
Any contenders? You
Um,
want to release a top
I
three?
really like the squad with LA, but I can't get down with that ownership group.
That's the Serena and Alex Ohanian.
Serena and Ohanian, and yeah, their whole rollout's been extremely
Sure,
thirsty. We'll see. We'll see. I think but I don't know. I'm bullish on the whole like clippable
I
moments
I
part of it
agree with
too,
you.
right?
Yeah, it feels like I mean we kind of said this last week, but the thing with Live is like it's not different enough from the PGA Tour, right? Where it still just
Yeah.
kind of feels like all the bad stuff about PGA Tour golf, just with worse players and music on the range, and they're wearing shorts.
Music on the
Yeah,
course.
and so I'm like, I don't think that's going to really solve the problems we're talking about. Whereas something where the players don't have to walk, there's no downtime in between shots. They're like everybody's mic'd up, everybody's standing together. It's not
Yeah.
quiet. You can, there is a lot of things where I'm like, okay, this is actually if I'm a 12-year-old kid, like, man, this is actually like much, much different and, kind of a
You can bet on it
yeah,
too.
maybe not for 12, but yeah,
I mean, you could have a
that's
bookie,
true.
God, where did it cross Twitter's gonna go nuts on that Pisa design? It's just unbelievable, man.
Yeah. right?
Oh,
Well, that was one of my questions. I said, "Will you guys have?" I don't know if I'm allowed to say who the rules official is yet, but I
is it
said like,
Tony
you
Zerpoli
know,
from
I
Live?
wish that would be one of the ultimate things from
What a coup! What a coup!
Believe they
reintegrating.
got Zerpoli.
No, but I was like, hey, like, will you have TIO?
Mm.
Because there will be like in some
Or
of these
fans. I really,
holes
yeah.
that they've designed. So all the holes are like singular, right? Like they're like 18 different. Like one of them's in the desert, and one of
That's kind of
them's
sick. So they're not playing like
and they're like
wood.
15 hole matches. I think there's like 30 holes that they have, and so they'll put
That's kind of
together
fun.
which holes. So it's just a collection of cool. We're gonna choose 15
Yeah.
holes here and go from
Does the
there.
home team get to choose?
Um, but there could be TIO,
Mm.
which I'm really, really
Yeah, I
concerned
hope.
about. And I don't know, like that whole that distance from
God, there's nothing fucking funnier to me than betting on this stupid thing and then like your ball goes through like a CGI cactus that it should have like got knocked down by or something like that. Like, God, I'm with you, TC. I think that like you know,
The rub of the verse, Deej.
yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be. I don't know. I'm gonna be down in just kind of the pure chaos, like absurdity
like
of it.
it's
The rub of the
January,
sorry, it should be the rub of the
February.
screen.
The rub of the screen.
That's just the rub of the screen, man. Deal with it.
It sounds like they're gonna have so much, like, so many layers of what do you call it? Like resiliency as far as the technology goes. Like there's like backup radar, there's backup sensors, there's all this stuff. So like if it doesn't catch it,
Yeah,
like there's no way that they're not going to be able to glean data. They may have to do a booth review or something like that and figure out where to put it. But
It's
I
truly all
think that stretch from like the 20 to 50 yards is going to be really
yeah.
awkward.
I'm.
You know,
We'll see.
it's a fascinating thought
It
exercise.
really is.
Well, maybe that's where they have to do like it's not TIO, it's like metaverse relief. You know, like yeah, just everything goes haywire in this 20 to 50 yard zone. So if you hit it like 34 yards, it's like, yeah, man, we just gotta move it either
Yeah,
to
just
like
pick it up and you get. Yeah,
15 or back to like 55.
yeah. The technology is just simply not there. All right, number 9, rounding out the inaugural E9 here. This was from Neil's hometown paper, the New York Post. A golfer in Canada was arrested for smashing a club over another player's head. KVV brought this to my
This was
attention. Did you watch the video?
unbelievable.
Oh my
Yes.
god, man, it's so hostile. The guy just it's
The
kind of
sound
a
was
Blair Witch or like what's that other Cloverfield type of camera situation going on here where like you can't quite see it. The guy's got his camera down because it's a hostile situation, but the context clues certainly would lead you to believe that
yeah.
our main character just absolutely hit this dude in the face with a driver, full swing. And of course, I don't mean to laugh. I hope the guy was okay, but one of the onlookers is in case you were wondering if it was in Canada, just say, hey, we could de-escalate this thing, eh? And it just really made me laugh.
None of the guy that got hit, none of his
Y-
buddies. Like
Yeah, they were all
like I would
pretty
I
pretty
mean, I
tepid.
would have yeah, I would have grabbed my putter and my driver and gone right over there
I
and like
was on that plane, it wouldn't have gotten like that.
stabbed, stabbed. Like I would have broken the thing in half on my knee and impaled him with it.
Allegedly. For legal reasons, that's not a threat. Well, KVV, followed it up with this, he said, "It begs the question, what is the most mad either of you has ever been on a golf course?"
Hmm.
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think, well, in recent memories, we did a Wild World of Golf at uh,
At the
at the
yards.
Palm at the
Yeah.
yards, yes, in Jack's Beach or in Ponte Vedra, and I just got my bucket doors blown off by Solly. I was so pissed during that whole like the last 4 holes. I was like legit mad just
First
at the
hole
situation.
first hole, you airmailed the green by, like, 40 yards into the back
I
pots,
forgot about that.
Yeah, I just remember being real pissed that whole round.
Did you shoot the wrong thing?
Yeah, I shot the like tree behind the green or something.
like, behind the pond behind the
Yeah,
green.
yeah. I was like, "Oh, that seems off," but okay, we'll go with it.
Alright, let's go. Time to go get it, green light.
God,
On the first
I
hole
hit that
too.
great too.
Just sets the tone.
Oh, man, that's a great answer. I forgot about that day. Man, really struggled with this one. TC, you got anything that comes to mind?
No, I mean, there's stuff from growing up where, like, Neil and I got in fist fights out on the golf course
No,
with one
TC.
another.
I remember TC just wrapping his 6 iron around his golf bag on the fourth hole at
Yeah,
Dunwoody Country Club, and then
yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit!" And then he was like, don't tell mom." And TC just didn't have a 6 iron for like the next 3 months.
Oh, man. I get hot,
Uh,
like, when other people throw clubs is not, that's not my thing. I don't like that. I've been out with people who just can't stop throwing clubs and just smashing clubs into the carts and, like,
well, I mean, on
that's
that
I'm
note,
good on that.
honestly, it was Barsabek with Ludwig.
That was sick.
Like,
Ugh,
I've never like I, that double hit or that
double tip.
series of contact felt like it went on for like 10 minutes. Like I was like time was stopped
Oh,
and I was living in that moment and it was awful. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, dude.
I appreciate it. Well, guys, thank you for humoring me on the inaugural E9. We had a lot of ground to cover there, but, I think that led to some laughs, so hopefully maybe we keep that around. We'll see. Let's land the plane here. We're gonna talk a little personal golf, your guys' week in golf. As we do that, it's time for another moment of joy. As I said on the top, brought to you by our friends at FootJoy. Neil, you got some joy you want to share? We got a big finale to the
Yeah.
moment of joy. I can't wait for it.
Well, we had the NIT last week, and my moment of joy was beating TC 7-6 in our match in the last we were in the last group in our flight. We were both in the basement, and I just blew his doors off. So that was sick. But I also on a better note, just Dobson Ranch.
Yeah,
I think it's
it's in
a
Mesa, Arizona.
lighthouse in the bleak kind of municipal public golf scene. That just place was bumping. Amazing what you can do when you're thoughtful about your business and you put a little
Yep.
money into the course and the driving range, just kids clinics for 2 straight days. The place was just packed,
People
but like in a
grinding.
in a very healthy way, like not overcrowded, just like good vibes at Dobson Ranch in Arizona. So I want to give them a shout out. I got a lot of joy out of seeing that firsthand.
I love it. Mine will go. It is fall, very much fall up here in the Middle West. I'm gonna just zoom in as tight as I can on this actual moment of joy, and I'm gonna give the moment of joy to the moment where you take the hoodie off about midway through the round of golf, right? So there's been a round of golf this week where it was probably 37, 38 degrees on the first tee. You kind of have
Mm.
that fear of like, God, should we be
The ginkgo trees, the
I
leaves are
are
gonna
the leaves
fall
gonna fall
off.
on the ginkgo? Is this what we should be doing this morning? Should we have just gone to breakfast instead?
Yeah. Do I have to get the rain gloves out
Yeah,
for warmth?
and you kinda get through those first 5, 6 holes, and you get to, like, that 7th hole, and you're like, "You know what, man? I'm loose. I'm warmed up. I'm good. I think I can take the hoodie off. I got a long sleeve T-shirt on underneath this." That moment is undefeated, and it's kinda why you come back. I also have to report, I said this last week, I had a, 6-match losing streak going against my nemesis, the guy that I played the most golf with here, AJ. I lost again this week, so that is now a
Oh,
7-match losing streak, and the year is quickly running out. So I don't really know if I'm going to get another crack at it, but just wanted to update the people there. TC, this is very exciting moment of joy because
Yeah. Well, yeah. First of all, Neil, I think I lost 4 or 5 down.
well, no,
We
TC
played a
insisted we
whistle.
do member guest scoring,
rally scoring.
rally
I
scoring.
think I birdied
So
2 out of the last 3 or 4 holes
so he just ran out of holes.
Yeah,
So yeah, sure,
yeah,
five
yeah.
up. I think
Which
at the end
Dobson
of the
Ranch
day.
was fascinating because it was just overseeded and the greens were really firm, but they were really slow
it's a
too.
sick
And man,
combo.
and like really slopey hole locations and just slopey greens in general. If you want to, like, I think 1 or 2 events a year on the PGA Tour should have that
Yeah,
mentality.
I'm with you there.
No, I take it one farther, TC. I think it
Yeah,
should be they have to carry their own bag. They can't have a
yeah,
caddy. Like the setup should be like what you have to do when you play municipal golf, and we should put the pros
awesome.
through
I
that.
love that.
At the length that would challenge them. But could you find a
Yeah.
course where you could stretch it to 7,500, but they couldn't? They'd have to carry their own bag. A lot of strategy there. I think that'd be
I
fascinating.
agree. This is very exciting. When TC knew we had a moment of joy, we got some new FootJoys in the mail this week. He
Yeah.
wanted to do a live unboxing for his moment of joy here. What do we got, Tron? Talk it out.
We got
Descriptive radio.
I believe these are from the grounds
Okay.
collection, which the grounds collection had me thinking about just, all the places I played this year and that brilliant green. Those
Those are
are
sick.
those are
Yeah.
gorgeous. Those are gorge. So stoked to get out in these. Golf season's kind of just starting down here in Florida.
No, I need to
It's
head south.
I'm playing a little bit. I'm going out to California this week. Actually, I'm gonna play a little bit. I'm gonna bring these with me
Nice.
for some good golf out there. And then actually, I played the park down in Palm Beach, and I have very very complicated thoughts on it that we can dig into on a future episode.
I look forward to it. I need to get down there too. I'm excited to see that place. Shout out to FootJoy. Thank you for their support this week, guys. Any housekeeping stuff? We got any news and notes on the NLU universe that we got to get to here?
Yeah, we got the birdhouse. The early booking window closes tomorrow, and then and then you'll get an email from. So basically, if you book the birdhouse for 2025, you'll get an email with a link from the course to book passes,
Of course, our house at
guaranteed
Sweetens Cove.
passes. Yeah, at Sweetens Cove, back better than ever. And yeah, so that ends end of day Monday, and then emails will go out Tuesday. So
Still opportunities to
get
book
in
the
there. There's
house.
still
Yeah.
what's that?
Still opportunities to book the house.
Yeah, early spring, late fall. There's still some good availability there.
Birdhouse.nolayingup.com.
There you have it.
Amen.
I want to shout out KVV's special project on the tea time situation in LA. Just a fascinating story that I just loved him diving into, and a story I had read a little bit about when it first happened, but it didn't have nearly the context and the color that KVV provided. So love having him kind of turn loose on those types of projects, and look forward to the next one.
I've got 2 shout outs. One, I appreciate everyone that filled out the NLU census. Got that through our email newsletter, or if you're a Nest member, awesome survey that we will share the results of, break them down on the next Nest podcast in November. So some work ahead, breaking down. Deej, I don't know. I haven't checked. It might be just over or just under 7,500. So it could lead to a little TikTok dance for you boys.
Hate that.
So I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know tomorrow what I find. And then in the pro shop, we're running a promo. Spend $100 and you get 50% off one piece of ladies apparel.
Ladies' night.
Any ladies' night. Come on, get something for your
What
wife,
a night.
girlfriend, mother. We got some good stuff from Roback in the women's collection. Ladies 30, all caps. That is the code. So spend 100, buy something for yourself, get something for your, for a special woman in your life.
Why is the code ladies
Love that.
30? There's no 30 in
know.
the deal. That's interesting.
That's a good question. Maybe we were gonna make it 30% off, but I think I upped it to 50.
The czar's got
The
crazy.
czar got crazy.
Yeah. I did. I was like,
I'm not
let's
gonna
just jack it up.
believe this
Come on, we're
one.
gonna move some product. Or I could be wrong, and
Crazy for
maybe it's
that one,
30%
czar.
off. So you got to go try it. Now I'd probably have you intrigued. Store.nolayingup.com.
Please.
Go test out ladies 30. See what you
Brilliant.
get.
Please try my product.
Right.
Guys, this was a blast. We've got one more little segment that we're gonna send it over to KVV. We're calling this one for the road. Like I said at the top of the show, it was Gary Player's 89th birthday. So KVV just dug up a
Well,
bunch
happy birthday to Gary. We never said happy birthday.
Indeed, and happy birthday to my wife as well. It was her birthday yesterday. So
Wow.
guys, great being with you. Unless you have any parting shots, we will send it over to KVV. Bang-a-lang! All right, Kev, not a lot of competitive golf in the landscape this week. We're digging deep. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You and I were kind of doing some planning. You said it's Gary Player's 89th birthday. I said, all right, for our first one for the road here, you take it in any direction you want, but give us something on Gary Player. What do you got?
Well, Deej, Gary always, whenever his birthday comes around, he does kind of little Instagram reel, where he's hitting some balls, where he's doing some jumping jacks, whatever. Kind of offers up some health tips on how does he live such an active life at such an old age. Now, he kind of says the same thing. You need to go to the gym, you need to undereat, and you need to have some love in your heart.
Big three.
Big three, exactly. The undereating part got me thinking a little bit about an anecdote that I'd heard for years. I think you've probably heard this anecdote too. The Gary Player once made a child cry, sometimes at the Masters. This is where the setting of this occurred, by telling that child that he needed to stop losing weight and stop eating fatty bacon,
Start
white
losing
bread. Start losing weight, excuse me, and stop eating fatty bacon and white bread, and that his parents were sort of lying to him, and it was a terrible, terrible thing. And the child stormed off in tears. This story's been around in media circles for many years. Some people claiming that they witnessed it. Some people claiming that they were part of the effort to sort
This
of make.
was also
Gary
just
write
to
it.
clarify. This is like
Yeah.
just kind of like on the rope line at Augusta, right? Isn't that the whole thing? It's
That
not
is
like it
part
was
of-
at like a health summit or something. It was just like
No.
a true Mr. Player. How are you this morning? Like, well, let me tell you.
So that is how the rumor has been for years. Obviously, you and I were not there when this occurred. We could sort of testify to it personally. but that it either occurred like under the big oak tree at Augusta or on the rope line, whatever. So, it got me thinking, as sort of like many things involving Gary. I was wondering like if some of the details have been exaggerated over the years, or if they'd morphed into other stories with bits and pieces plastered in here, or clipped and just taken out of context or whatever. It didn't really fit into the storyline when we did our big narrative pod earlier this year, the Tall Tales of Gary Player. If you missed that, I hope you'll check it out, because it's really a sort of a wonderful, fun, colorful look at Gary's life. But it did seem kind of funny. It did seem something that, I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit more. I just wasn't quite sure. Like, we didn't really need to, spend a lot of time in that pod, like about, he lives such an interesting life that spending good 6-8 minutes on Gary's penchant for fat shaming didn't really seem
Sure.
like a great use of time.
Yeah.
We did get a
You got
hint.
to triage, got to
Yeah,
prioritize.
we did get a hint of a quote by Player that sort of speaks to the same themes early in that pod. He was interviewing. He was doing an interview once with a journalist, and after that journalist left the room, another journalist came in, and this is from Today's Golfer. He told this journalist, "It just amazes me to see a young man like that, 50 pounds overweight. Why can't he realize that he's going to die?
Sure.
He's such a nice young man, obviously intelligent. He has very good questions, but he is going to die. He's going to get diabetes, a heart attack, or cancer, and within 10 years, he's going to die. The doctors, they're bastards. Doctors should be saying to him, look, you're going to die. You've got to stop eating, and I find it fascinating." So I was like, you know what? For our first one for the road, I'm going to kind of dig a little bit into more of this. Like, what's true and what's not true. And then DJ, at the end, you can kind of determine as the judge of this whether you think it is likely that this story was true about Gary or not.
Okay.
So in 2009, Matt Janella, formerly of the Golf Channel, did a little work with the Golf Digest. He did a Q&A with Gary Player that was mostly about his design philosophy in a golf course he was building in Mexico. But near the end of the interview, Janella asks Gary about this infamous rumor. He says, "I have something to clear up. I once heard a story that you went up to a kid in a gallery and told him that he was fat. Is that true?" "No," Player said. "I never go up to any kind of kid and call them fat. I love children. My great ambition is to educate children around the world that their body is a holy temple. Did you know that 8,000 people a day in America die from obesity-related diseases? More people die of obesity than all the wars of the world put together. I don't judge a kid and tell him he is fat. Every story gets exaggerated. I go to a kid and say, 'Son, how are you?' And he says, 'Fine.' And I say, 'I love young people. And can I say something to you? I'm only telling you this because I love you, not because I'm trying to be rude. I want to help you. My daughter was very heavy, and she got rid of her weight, and today she's a healthy person. So now you must try to lose some weight. You must exercise. You must try to eat properly. It's nice," Gary said, "if you can help save lives." So, kind of a denial, non-denial there.
Yeah. No, I maybe remember grinding my feet on this
Grinding
little
my
kid's
feet on
couch.
Eddie Murphy's couch. Exactly. But I've felt, that's just sort of like the first clue and things. So I wanted to kind of see what was out there. Kind of did some digging, spent an afternoon getting into the archives of the SI Vault, newspapers.com, what had been sort of reported out there. Well, in 1996, Jaime Diaz did a big Gary Player profile in Sports Illustrated that year. And in fact, he says that the original rumor was in fact true. "You're fat," he once told an obese boy who had asked him for an autograph. "I only tell you this because your parents are afraid to hurt your feelings, but
There
you
you go.
must change your diet."
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good evidence there from 1996 that perhaps this story was true. In 2014, the Pioneer Press in St. Paul had a story where the headline is, "Harsh words from golf champ Gary Player inspire Chris Davis to lose 65 pounds."
Whoa. Okay.
The
The
lead of
baseball player?
not the baseball player, a young man, a young golfer. The lead of the story is, "You're fat," Gary Player bluntly told the 16-year-old. That was 5 years ago, just after the golfing legend, regarded as the game's pioneer in fitness, had given a short putting lesson to an attendee of a junior event in Pebble Beach. That person was Chris Davis, who is now 21 and headed into his senior year at Carroll University. For the first time since that day in 2009, Davis got to visit afternoon with the man who hit him with those blunt words. So this guy
Whoa.
goes to say that Gary basically called him fat, and he just completely turned his life around. His father says he completely turned it around and became a health nut. He gained confidence. He was taking off his shirt, meeting girls, and he became even more sociable. It did tremendous wonders for his confidence.
How about that?
Yeah, Chris Davis said he couldn't believe how angry he was at Player that day. But he says, the thing is, I didn't know how honest of a person he was. For him to sit there and tell me you need to lose weight, it'll help you be a better person, help you look better, help you feel better about yourself. That really meant a lot to me. Instead of sulking and pouting, I used it as motivation. I wanted to prove to him that I could lose the weight. Player, in turn, reacted like a proud papa. He got a message to pass on to all future Americans. You live in this great country. You should kiss the ground every damn day you wake up and be proud of it and do something for it and not expect to get things for nothing, but to earn it. Davis said, all my success, I really credit to him. It's been a great ride. I'm definitely loving my life. So we have some pretty good evidence here to each 2 instances that Gary Player probably told someone they were fat. In 2014, he did a Q&A with Bill Clinton as part of the Humana Challenge to combat obesity. And he offhandedly brought up how fat people need to exercise or they will, quote, never see their private parts again. Apologies, Mr. President. In 2016, the Daily Mail reported that Gary Player was the person who sparked Rory McIlroy's fitness regime. Rewind to 7-8 years ago at a time when Rory had hair sticking out everywhere and puppy fat around his middle. He was struggling with a back complaint. And Gary allegedly said, you need to get fit, Rory. Look at the weight you're carrying. And Gary Player said, pinching Rory's belly, you need to strengthen your core. Player, who might well be known these days for his dedication to fitness as his 9 major championships, then invited McIlroy to punch him in the stomach. As you can imagine, who wants to punch a legend into his 70s? Rory's first couple attempts were tentative, but he was shocked when he landed a harder blow. It was like punching a wall, said Rory. You're right. I do need to get fitter.
Which I think if I was Rory in that situation, I'd be like, yeah, no, I see it, man. Let's please just stop.
Deej, in 2017, our friends at The Loop of Golf Digest, they did a video piece with Gary where he wandered around the Open Championship for a day just roasting people for being overweight.
Sure.
What is this here? He said, tugging on a man's belly at a fish and chip stand. You haven't seen your knees in the last 6 years.
Jesus.
White bread and fatty cheese on a fatty hamburger, he said to another patron. You know what? I'd rather eat the box. How many beers have you had in a day? Gary Player asks. What is this here, patting his belly? When's the last time you saw your knees, young man? Make me a promise, Gary Player said to a small child after asking him to punch him several times in the stomach. You'll never have a fat stomach. In 2017, he was doing an interview with Instagram influencer Elise Lobb, L-O-B-B. I'm not sure quite how he pronounces her last name, but he told her a story and said, in 1965, I was playing in the World Cup and I didn't have a gym to go to. I said, I've got to go to the gym. I had a very fat man rooming next door to me and I thought, I've got to let him sit on my back so I can do squats. He then proceeded to ask Loeb to climb onto his back so he could demonstrate how he did squats with the fat man in order to stay fit. Also in 2017, he was interviewed by our dear friend Brendan Porath for SB Nation, in which Brendan asked him, after talking about fitness for a while, I need you to be brutally honest. How would you assess my physical fitness in a sentence or word? And Gary said, yours? And Brendan said, yes, I need you to be brutally honest. And Gary said, so we're going to have a bit of fun. Well, I meet you. I noticed your stomach. You haven't seen your private parts in at least 5 years, and that is a sad thing.
Gary's staying on message with all these people.
Very true. Brendan, as we'll say, I don't know if he credits Gary Player, but he has lost a significant amount of weight.
Looks great. Best shape of his life.
Yeah. Just a couple years ago during the par 3 contest, right after he was jogging down the hill and said, quote to the camera, "Oh, my friends are dead." He picked up a small child and essentially clean and jerked him into the air. Player then pointed at an overweight guy in the gallery and said, "When I play with him," pointing at the fat guy, "I have him stand on the right side of the green because I prefer left to right putts."
It's a good one.
A few more instances. 3 years ago, people were tweeting about Gary Player, and One user named Murray responded about Gary getting the Medal of Freedom on January 7th. And he said, I remember meeting Gary Player as a child at Carnoustie. The only lasting memory I have was when he told me to stop getting fat and stop eating sweets. Another person chimed in later that year. In 1976, as a 10-year-old, my grandfather drove me 2 hours to Memphis. I followed Trevino, Floyd, Player all day. I got autographs. Gary Player gave me a lecture about staying fit because I was a fat kid. He inspired me to get a full ride to Memphis State. So I think, Deej, ultimately we can conclude that this anecdote is likely rooted in, I'd say, 90% truth.
Absolutely.
In
Totally.
fact, it may have happened many times over the course
That's
of the
my
year.
takeaway. Is like not only is it true, it just is kind of his move, right? And I think he sees himself as a bit of a health vigilante, right? Just shocking these little chunkers out of their stupor. I mean, that's
Gary's out there holding the line. He really
I could have
wants
used a
to.
little Gary Player in my life. I'll tell you what, when I was about
Maybe.
12, 13, that would have been formative for me. Gosh. All right. Well, happy birthday to Gary Player. Kev, thank you for diving in on that little one for the road. I think maybe we'll keep doing those.
I
We got
like
some of
this.
these
Yeah.
lean weeks. We'll come up with a topic and we'll let you go nuts on,
Yeah,
let that newspapers.com subscription kind of pay for itself there. I like it.
absolutely. If you have a
All right.
suggestion for ones for the road, you can definitely send it our way.
Please do, or send it right to Gary Player. I'm sure
Also
we're following everything he says anyway, so I'm sure that's just as good of a place to send it. Kev, thank you very much for helping us wrap up. That's going to do it for us. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Tron. Thank you to Titleist. Thank you to our friends at Holderness and Bourne and Pinehurst. And we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.